Well, I continue with historical facts. Don't let the christ-psychotics lie to you. They did a tremendous job. After the Council of Nicaea, Constantine, the criminal, he was the one that actually founded Christianity from the cult of Divus Iulius. Everybody forgot about Caesar. Caesar who? Oh, he was a general, oh, an emperor, and all that. Nobody mentions, no one, not even the National Geographic, that I cannot believe how blind these people are. I thought they had scholars there that advise them. With rivals, for instance, rivals of Jesus. They have all kind of gods. They do not once mention Julius Caesar. The man had a cult. He had priests of the cult, and I'm sure that they actually put the image of Julius Caesar with his red robe. The cuts, he received 23 stab wounds, but the most important was given by Cassius Longinus, because Brutus and Cassius Longinus were actually the conspirators, and he had forgiven them. They actually ended up assassinating him after they promised that his body was divine. He was a divine god, but they nevertheless stabbed him. And Brutus is believed to be his natural son, the natural son of Julius Caesar. Longinus was a very, very good with swords and weapons, and he ended up stabbing him. Well, in the Acts of Peter, Peter never existed in the first place, but in the Acts of Peter, he mentions that the soldier that actually stabbed with the lance the dead Jesus to see if he was dead. You know what his name is? Cassius Longinus. What a coincidence, isn't it? So, then we have Julius Caesar, the Lord and Savior, with temples, with Suetonius, Appius, Appianus, and many, many historians, except his friend Asinius Pollio, which his name is Ascult. The guy was with Caesar. He was there at Pharsalus. He was there at all the battles. When Caesar crossed the Rubicon and going into Rome, he was there. The man founded the first, he wrote about the Historia, which a lot of other people copy. He founded the first public library in Rome. Where are his writings? They have disappeared. Gone. And he talked about Caesar. He was talking about Lord and Savior Caesar and a lot of things. But of course, 350 years later, when everything is twisted, the whole history is mutated, and then you have this title of head priest, which is like Archiereos Megistus, a pontiff that is over there in heaven, watching for everybody. Men that give the blood and everything and die and resurrected. And there was an tropaeum in a cross, which is absolutely ridiculous, wearing a crown of acantha leaves and being in a cross. The cross symbol always represents the rays of the sun. The Aztecs have it. Every civilization has, because nobody knew where the sun was, and it gave us rays. So it was the Chinese. You can see a swastika. That's what the deeply devoted true Christian Adolf Hitler had as his symbol, the swastika, the cross gamata. This cross gamata, if anybody goes to Rome, to the Arapakis, the altar of peace of the Emperor Augustus, you can actually see in the procession of Augustus and the imperial family and the priests, the 15 Flamines, or the Flamens, which means priest of different gods. There is a line of swastikas going all over, representing the sun god. And guess what's in the bottom of that? Go to Rome and see it with your own eyes and touch it and lump it, because it's a fact. And this is the acantha leaves, the little leaves going all around, will represent the nymph that refused the advances of the god Apollo, the sun god. And he turned her into a thorn bush. The reason Julius Caesar and his son of God were a bushy crown symbolic of the sun god. So then you have the picture of that. So I'm pretty sure that in the temples, after Julius Caesar was deified, it was a god, it was in heaven, and the symbol of the comet, the Divus Iulius. He must have been displayed in all the temples throughout the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was not Rome. Roman, the Mediterranean Ocean was Mare Nostrum, our sea, that was the Roman said. And you have all these provinces, including Judea and Alia Capitolina, which was the city of Jerusalem. That is now the city of Jerusalem. Herod was a great, great friend of Caesar, like his brother. He was educated in Rome. All these families were educated in Rome, the only important holy city in the world at the time. Jerusalem was a cow town. And as a matter of fact, you can see the Bible Unearthed by Finkelstein, Moshe Finkelstein, a brilliant archaeologist, which the Jews actually hate him, but he's telling the truth. He doesn't go with the fantasies, the bullshit that this christ-psychotic and lunatics, ignorant retards, actually put. No, he goes on facts. And Jerusalem, this is a fact. It was a cow town. It was a small, insignificant province of Rome. And then you have a guy that is a Jewish guy with a red cape. Have you ever seen a Jewish person with a red cape? Like Jesus is supposed to be running around with this red cape and this little crown of little thorns as a punishment? Absurd. And then you have a trial in Rome. I mean, a trial in Jerusalem. It would never happen. Absolutely. And then crucified, wasting all the nails and all that stuff and putting all the wood and, to make this thing for some insignificant, a peasant, a nobody? No. Because he wasn't, never was. Jesus, it was never. It was actually Julius Caesar, the only person that everybody knew. And he was so powerful. And everybody believed to be a god like all the kings. Because people didn't know at the time what was the sun, what was the moon, what was the star. They were suspended in the spirit world, because that's where the soul and the spirit is. Air. Air in our lungs. 4,000 years ago, the Egyptian concept of spirit is air. The clouds. How come those birds are running around, floating on what? In the spirit world. If I go like this, my soul goes out. I can actually sell my soul, and the retarded christ-psychotics probably will buy it. Of course, I have to wait, like about 500 years to get this story, to create momentum. So these retarded people will actually accept that as true, like they do now, today. This mental illness is terrible. But then you have the Hilaria, which is actually Easter, the resurrection. It's like vegetation. There's tons of gods that resurrect. Well, Julius Caesar was one of them, and he was a living god. He actually did resurrect in his son Augustus. There was also a god, and he was in heaven. I mean, the comet actually proves it.
The cross is an ancient symbol of the sun rays. Notice the swastika here in the Arapakis. Notice the priest, and also on the bottom is the acantha leaves. And then you can see the hats wearing by the Flamens, which the Pope imitated. Then we have Christian Hitler, very deeply Christian. That's the reason he hated the Jews. Now we see in Persepolis the cross tombs of Darius in the car. Here is the soul, which is nothing but air. It's represented by a bird. Here we have the worship of the sun, and the lion as a representation of the sun. Here is the last judgment in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. These are facts.